75 years after the first car rolled off the line in Gothenburg, Volvo has an enviable reputation for safety and reliability. Porsche's 911 is almost as old as Volvo, but it's as fresh and new as it ever was, especially fresh with the roof cut off. Ferrari's best ever sports car? It's certainly the cutest looking sports car we've seen for a long time, and Michael Schumacher knows just how quick it is. 75 years down the line from Job 1, the Volvo image is one of serene safety and quiet capability. Few people realise that image was created even before the first car rolled out of the Gothenburg factory in 1927. A year earlier, when the prototype was in testing, it was involved in a head-on crash with an American car. No one was hurt, but the other car was destroyed, the Volvo only mildly scratched. But it had been a big step from ball bearings to complete cars. The company survived it, and early production was modest as Volvo engineers visited Detroit and returned with the knowledge and ideas needed to boost production, although the big leap forwards didn't happen until 1934 with the PV444. Smaller than its American rivals outside, but more spacious inside, it was also fast and reliable and became the cornerstone of the modern Volvo range. The foundation of the brand image arrived in 1953. The Duet was Volvo's first estate, showing the way forwards as they concentrated on building cars for the family market. Volvo was the first car maker to fit a 3-point safety belt as standard on all its cars, predating legislation by a matter of years all around the world, as well as discovering the need for a device which later became world famous as the crash test dummy. But there was less publicity for this landmark piece of automotive design than for the P1800 sports car, as driven on television by Roger Moore in his role as Simon Templar. Back in Sweden, the main business was still well in hand, and in the mid-60s, while the Saint and swinging London were all the rage, Volvo produced the 144, billed as the safest car in the world, and it was to become the basis of the later 240 series, destined to become the car on which the Volvo name and reputation were forged. A benchmark for almost 30 years, with a total of nearly 3 million units by the time its run ended in 1993. By now, research at Volvo had turned to broader spheres, and when American engineers assessed the 240 for emission tests, the results were so low that at first they didn't believe their own equipment, but then they'd never seen a lambda sensor before, nor a catalytic converter. Another world first for Volvo, as the 240 was billed as the cleanest car in America. The 7 Series cars were modern refinements of their well-developed forerunners, and the unlikely shape as compared to the contemporaries and its enormous carrying capacity struck a chord with the public, and 7 Series cars set new sales records as they flew out of the showroom doors. Even as antique dealers all over Europe were cramming grandfather clocks into the back of 7 Series estate cars, Volvo was designing the 8 Series, a car which has won more design awards than any other Volvo had produced. In the heartland of emotional car design, it was voted Italy's most beautiful estate car. A large part of the 8 Series lives on in current production models, certainly beneath the skin if not externally, and modern design techniques allow the engineers to make the most of a car's good points while changing anything they no longer like or need. Working almost exclusively in the digital domain, a designer can shape and engineer a car much more quickly than on paper, and test out design ideas as well, even crash testing a prototype months before it's actually built. That doesn't preclude the need for concept cars though, and not just as research vehicles for the engineers. Presented to the public at shows, things like the safety concept car remind us all about the new technology under development and prepare the way for fresh ideas about design. And of course it's a two-way street, with public reaction to cars like this helping designers shape the look of future products. But let's go back to those early days, when the first cars were rolling from the lines, slowly rolling from the lines. Just a few hundred examples of the first model were ever made, and it was clear then that survival of the company depended on rather more turnover. So in 1928 came the very first Volvo truck. This was more like it, and for the next 50 years the truck business was the mainstay of the company, and for the next couple of decades, right up until the 50s, the trucks outsold cars year on year. Though the first designs had been for medium-sized vehicles, the company was growing into bigger markets, so that by the late 40s, Volvo were building real heavyweights for off-road use. Tractors, graders, wheel loaders and articulated haulers all were an important source of profit, and Volvo remains among the world leaders in this difficult segment. Volvo was pioneering in truck design and were among the first manufacturers to offer a tippable load platform, and years later developed the tilting cab, making servicing and repair quicker and easier, and thus making the vehicles more cost-effective. The truck business remained profitable even though cars were outselling their big brothers in numbers, and Volvo recently took over Renault's truck business together with its American subsidiary, Mack, becoming in the process the biggest truck maker in Europe and the second biggest worldwide. Every schoolboy knows Henry Ford and the Model T for mass production, and every schoolboy knows the name of Ferrari, the scarlet cars being the epitome of dramatic and glamorous styling. But every grown-up knows another name as well: Porsche. When we've finished dreaming about sports cars and we actually want to drive one, this is where most of us end up. Dollar for dollar, this is the best sports car you can have. A model that's been almost 50 years in refinement and development, so it's now just about perfect. Perfectly engineered and perfectly built. And pretty much perfect to drive. Sports car purists might be tempted to ask for the convertible version, because that, after all, is what real sports cars are about. We all know that in the past there have been penalties involved in chopping the roof off saloons or coupes, notably the dreadful phenomenon known as scuttle shake. But in the modern world of computer design and engineering, there's really no excuse for it, and certainly not in cars costing this much money. Porsche cars and the weapons-grade engineering which they are renowned for are not afflicted by this problem, of course, and even looking back in history, there have been few complaints about the success of the conversion process in connection with the world's favourite sports car, of which this newest evolution is the best example, of course. So we are obliged to say that although there have been 911 convertibles, there has never been one as successful as this. The problem in the past has always been, for us anyway, cosmetic. The coupe is such an elegant and well-refined shape, such a recognisable icon, that interfering with its shape amounts to a heresy that still offends the eye. That's just a posh way of saying that the 911 doesn't take a roof chop with any degree of elegance, and looks merely passable with the roof down, pretty damn ugly with it up. But continual refinement improves the breed, and that doesn't only mean performance and handling. At last, the evolutionary process has brought us a convertible conversion that looks as good as the coupe. Pretty near perfect, in fact. And if you need confirmation, this is the first cabriolet to emerge from the wind tunnel with near identical CD figures to the coupe. That said, you never see the cab or a Boxster with the hood up in the advertising pictures because they definitely look much better with it down. For the depths of real winter there is an aluminium hardtop, but the convertible is so convenient and the thick hood material so well insulated that it really would have to be close to zero all the time before you thought about changing. And in the end you might do so more because the hood material can be damaged by folding or unfolding in sub-zero temperatures. It always used to be the rear screens that got the most abuse in low temperature, but the latest cabriolet has a heated screen, better visibility, and an end to one of the last remaining niggles about owning a convertible. Even the hood itself is thick enough and insulated enough to keep road and wind noise to a minimum, and there is absolutely no question of wind or water intrusion. But since it only takes 20 seconds for the electric mechanism to stow the roof or unpack it, you will spend maximum time in the fresh air. Even in changeable weather, putting a roof over your head is so quick and easy that you can do it waiting for the red lights to turn green. But there's always a trade-off when you chop a coupe, and the penalty for getting rid of rattle and squeaks and shakes is weight. The soft top has lost a fairly big lump of roof, but the extra strengthening and the weight of the motor that winds the hood up and down makes it 85 kilos heavier than the coupe. That's an adult passenger, more or less, and in this case it's more. And it means that the convertible isn't as sharp as the coupe. It does have the same engine, making 325 horsepower at the rear wheels. Slightly slower off the mark than the coupe, it's still 60 miles an hour in 5 seconds, plus a massive top speed as well. And the torque figures do not do justice to an engine that lazes away like a family hatchback in first and pulls from almost no miles an hour in 6th gear with ease. Even if you've previously owned a coupe, you probably won't notice much difference between the two in terms of performance or handling. OK, the extra weight means that the cabriolet isn't quite so otherworldly as the coupe when you're attacking flowing mountain roads, but it starts from a baseline that's streets ahead of most other cars in any case, and so even when the edge is taken off with the roof, it's still way out in front. And that means it's in front of rival offerings from Maserati, Jaguar and Mercedes, all of whom offer a convertible option based on an existing coupe, and all of which are on a price par in the stratospheric regions around $90,000. But then you're getting stratospheric performance. So stratospheric that more and more owners are turning to track days and hill climbs in a quest for legal opportunities to let it off the leash. It's a controlled but challenging environment, and addictive as well. Once you've done one, two things will happen. First, and as always with Porsche's Boxer 6, a good thrashing waits it up no end for road use as well. And second, it'll be so much fun that pretty soon you'll be wanting to do another. And another. And then another. Ferrari's 360 Modena can outperform the 911 on paper, and at Fiorano too, especially with you-know-who at the wheel. After Porsche, there's only one place to find more fun, and that's at Ferrari, and after that, you have to move on to two wheels for more excitement. It's been said before about other models, but there's nothing wrong with saying it again. This has to be the prettiest Ferrari ever made. It's one of those cars that's perfect from any angle and in any light and in any colour. It's one of those perfect combinations of line and shape that makes you think that if you were a designer of cars, you'd see one of these and give up on the spot. Job done, nothing more to be achieved. How do you follow this? And that's what most of us will be doing, of course. Following it. The 360 is cute enough, but the Spider is twice as nice looking. And then there's the F1 with the paddle shift gears, and you only have to drive a car fitted with them once to know why they're standard on just about every race car in every paddock. It's said that if you're a true car enthusiast, then you should own at least one Ferrari in your life, but for most of us, that will be impossible. For a lucky few, there will be the chance of buying one that's 10 or more years old and has been through the mill a bit along the way. But even that will hold its value, and unless you wreck it or blow the engine, you'll easily get your money back at the end of it. Very, very few of us will ever get the chance to sit in a brand new Ferrari, never mind own one. The closest any of us is likely to come to a 360 like this one will be 10 or 15 years from now, when it's in the back pages of the Sunday papers. But we'll have to be lucky, because some Ferraris hold their value better than other Ferraris, and this one has got classic and very expensive written all over it, and not just for its looks. Like all Ferrari engines, this is more than a collection of numbers and figures. It's a symphony in screaming metal and sheer exuberance, which renders the spec sheet irrelevant and superfluous. Oh yes, and it goes like nothing else, shrieking away from a standing start like a race car in pursuit of ultimate speed. And speaking of race cars, when Ferrari made a film about the 360 F1, they did so with Michael Schumacher at the wheel. Who else? But just watch the lazy, relaxed way he handles this car around Fiorano. OK, he knows the circuit, and even a 360 must be child's play after the Formula 1 car, but just watch him. Going far, far faster than most of us ever could dream of, just playing around with the car, nowhere near his limits, even if the car has reached its own. This is the ultimate race-bred sports car. Buy one and you buy a piece of the legend.
When it comes to two wheels, this may not be a motorcyclist's idea of what a legendary bike should look like, but BMW's F650 CS could signal a new era for future machinery, no matter what the manufacturer. However, it's not the shape which is likely to be repeated on blueprints in years to come. It's the 650's very different features which may cause a rethink or two. One of the more noticeable changes is the decision to move the fuel tank backward. It now sits under the seat, creating valuable storage space at the front, which can be used in a number of ways, including an optional secure helmet holder or even a waterproof audio system if required. Other changes include two grab rails for the passenger to hold instead of the customary one, and they're not situated at the rear of the bike as you'd expect, they run up the tank. On the road, the CS cruises quite comfortably at 80 miles an hour, and when pushed will go past the 100 mark with a bit to spare. A respectable 49 miles per gallon means fuel stops are limited to one every 170 miles. And from low revs, the motor picks up speed relatively easy. Maximum power comes in at 6,800 revs per minute, with a rev limiter intervening at 8,000. The seat is low and the bars high and wide, which mean a somewhat upright riding position. And the 650 CS is also fitted with 17-inch wheels and road tyres, so riding through slow-moving traffic should be fairly straightforward. While the 650 may herald certain changes in the way bikes are developed, BMW's R1150 RS is an update of its 1100 series, which was the manufacturer's first ever sports tourer. It has many of the qualities of its predecessor, such as the two-cylinder, four-stroke air-cooled flat twin engine. And what could be the most important change compared to the old model is the screen, which is 8 centimetres higher and 6 centimetres wider. This increases the total area of the screen by 30%. Riding the 1150 can be a pleasure. If you ask it nicely, it will provide you with plenty of power when required. It will nudge 140 miles an hour. Handling is very stable at high speed. It's also designed to be comfortable around corners. If the rider needs to stop in a hurry, then the servo-assisted ABS brakes should be up to the job. Motorcyclists, of course, come in all shapes and sizes, so adjustable seat height, handlebar reach and screen should meet with approval. The full fairing should also provide decent weather protection, and the bid for rider comfort doesn't stop there. An overdrive top gear allowing vibration-free road cruising complements the 6-speed gearbox. Both the 1150 and 650 are just part of BMW's plans for continued success in the motorcycle market. And next week we'll take a look at the mighty M3.